touching on the stuff that Owen's already talked about and that's been running down this debate already, the boring stuff basically, the job the state has. Like, this debate has been going on for decades basically about who's on the right side of, like, is cannabis good for you? Does it really have all these health effects that other scientists associate with it? Or doesn't it? Can it actually be used for medicinal purposes, or can't it? The one thing that every side will agree on even now is that no evidence is really conclusive. Everyone says there's still opposing arguments out there and that we can't come down on one side. Well, not us as individuals, but the state can't come down on one side of it. And the state's job is always to err on the side of caution. So even if we have all these great arguments like Luke has come out with universities from God knows where, places I can't pronounce, or the Lafayette magazine, which to me is probably as invaluable as the Evening Echo when it comes to who does valuable surveys. Like, we can't say that the state has to come down and say this should be legalized, because simply everyone has opposing theories, and some theories out there are still saying it's bad and has conclusive evidence to say so, even though the other side can't. Owen already said it in terms of, like, smoking and alcohol, and it's long been said that if we only discovered these substances today, or if we knew then what we know now, we wouldn't have them. Another thing that we were told is that people will get a hold of it. We were told usage has increased since decriminalisation in 1977, and that now more people are using it more than ever, basically. Like, the same argument can be made for cocaine, heroin, LSD, and speed. We can make the same amount of money from taxing it as we could with cannabis, and we could save the same amount of money in all the departments that were listed off if we just decided to let people have at it and go do what they want. So I do feel bad for the young men with criminal records out there, like they were saying they shouldn't have them. Like, in a way I feel bad for you for what you got the criminal record for. In another way I'm like, you know what? If I was 17 and stole a car, I'd probably feel bad about it in a few years' time when I decided I wanted to go to America and couldn't. But at the same time, you broke the law and knew you were breaking the law when you were doing what you were doing. So in that way, I don't feel bad, unless they were a Colombian monkey, like Luke was saying. Now, boring stuff out of the way. Given the audience I have, I should say that no offence is intended to anyone here. I have lived with a lot of people who were cannabis users, so this is mostly about what life was like with them. Lazy, good for nothing, go nowhere, do anything. On the dole, all the time, do nothing. So I know none of those people are in this room, so we're having this debate outside about those people. Right, another thing we've been told it causes is impotence. I don't know if that's true, but I'm pretty sure all Irish people need all the help they can get when it comes to sex at the moment, so I'm going to err on the side of maybe we should leave it off the table for a while. Now, one person I was living with who smoked cannabis on a regular basis, now I'm sure nobody in this room was like him, but had never heard of the concept of a shower. Not once did I see him use it, or even look for where it was placed in the house. So that's another thing I had a problem with him doing that. I'm pretty sure everyone in here showers regularly. I can see Timothy Harehead on the lot of you. The other thing is crime rates, right? It's been said that, you know, cannabis can increase crime rates if it was legalized. Like, the studies showed in Amsterdam and other places that have it legalized that the crime rates can increase. And I know it's petty crime that increases, and it's not really that. Well, it's not sexy crime. It's not like a high-speed police chase catching people. It's like someone holding up a shop with a bomb for 20 quid or something. So, like, I know that crime rates can increase because of it, and that's also something that we really need to consider, not as an individual, because it probably doesn't affect us when we just look around in general, but even from the position of a state, these are things that a state looks at. So even if we're looking at it from like, oh sure, look, I want to have a joint later, why can they tell me no? If you're putting yourself in a position of power where you have to rule over a lot of people, these are the things that you have to take into account. It's all fine for us to sit here now and say, look, I want to do it, everyone around me wants to do it, and nobody else really has a problem with that. If you're there in 30 years' time, none of you will be saying this argument when your kids are caught smoking cannabis. Some of you might, the majority of you won't. In the same way, your parents are probably lying to you now by saying, I was young too once, but I never did that. Obviously, they probably did. But at the same time, they're telling you no now, and and you probably will be the same in a few years. So the position that we have to change is one of the way we're thinking now, or if you're in a position of power. And if you're in a position of power or authority, the first thing you do is you try and protect. So that's the way we have to look at it, is from the position of the state. The only other thing I'm going to talk about is this, like, I agree with Owen and I agree with the proposition side entirely in this case of medicinal purposes, where it can be proven to relieve someone's pain. That's very different from saying that cannabis should be legalized for any single person who wants to use it. People being stoned all the time might be a laugh for a while, but it gets annoying after 10 minutes if everybody's stoned all the time. I'm not going to pretend to hear that. He's wearing a yellow t-shirt and I'm sure it's funny, especially with the highlights from Peter Harrison that probably done yesterday. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you basically with that idea that myself and Owen we don't disagree on the idea of medicinal purposes. We say that's okay. Like, as in, there are some people out there, like, it's been shown time and time again to relieve the medical illnesses that pain people with MS and other such illnesses. And we agree that in those instances, it's perfectly okay. But what this would be about is having everyone, like, I don't even know if there's an age limit, but I presume it would be over 18, using it at any time, at any stage, wherever, whenever. And that's something that nobody else has considered. Most people, when they think about it offhand of legalizing hashes, not being disturbed at 9 o'clock at night when they decide to have a joint with their friends. That's not the case when you legalize a substance like this. And all anybody needs to do is to go to Amsterdam and find out. They've come out and said, if we knew then what we know now when we did legalize it, not a hope in hell would we have done it, with the crime rates, the drug tourism, and just basically it being a seedy hole after a few years. Ladies and gentlemen,